My kayak bass fishing tournament season has started. I did the Table Rock Lake event with the Moyak Fishing Series this past Saturday. I had a ton of fun, and I did not get anywhere near the finish that I wanted. Straight to the point, I didn't catch a single fish. Even after I got home, I was still rattled, and I did not catch a single fish when I went fishing just for fun. I got a late start that Friday. I had taken off work. I was going to go down, pre-fish on Friday, scope things out. I had a couple places I wanted to look at. Didn't work out, getting kids to school. We bought a canoe from Mary's cousin, and he was bringing that morning, so I was excited to be here for that and to help get that in place. Instead of getting to Table Rock Lake around 8 o'clock, I left the house around 8 o'clock. I was still going to stop at one place on the way down, and I did. It was not going to work for me. The current was just way too strong. To set the frame of reference there, I only paddle. I don't have pedals. I don't have a motor. I'm not against those. I'm not saying that I won't use them, but I enjoy the paddling, so I've stuck with that so far. That does change the strategy, especially on a big body of water like Table Rock or some of the others, Ozarks, Truman, basically anything I'm going to fish on. Where you put in is kind of critical because you're limited somewhat to where you can get to. So I get down there and start getting set up. I break out all my gear and I go to set up my tent. And the tent, I thought I brought one that was in good working order. It turns out it's the tent that I had used last in 2006, 2007 maybe. I did some camping off my motorcycle, and it was a tent that was given to me, and one of the poles broke, and it was getting pretty tattered anyway. I mean, it came to me used. Well, now it's got 10 more years of just sitting, and the poles just shattered. So I just said, I'm not going to mess with this. And I drove over to Bass Pro. I bought a new 2-man tent, and I bought a sleeping pad, like one of those self-inflating ones. There's at least 4, if not 5 more tournaments that I'm going to do this year, and camping is a whole lot cheaper than a hotel room. So I splurged a little bit up front for, a nice tent and a sleeping pad, but in the long run, that's going to save money on hotels. In the lead up, the tournament director had posted some stuff about weather. There's a lot of wind. There's going to be storms on the next day. There was another 2-day tournament going on at the same time. Talked about, buddy system. We do that and everything else. Scouts and emergency team at work, whatever. You always buddy up. So I put out that I was willing to be, buddy for someone, and I met up with a guy named Stoney. On the way to getting my tent deal situated, I sent him a text saying, hey, I'm running to Bass Pro. Do you need anything? And people had been telling him watermelon, candy, trick worms. So I got us both a pack of those while I was there. For me, they didn't produce anything, but I'll get into that later. We're at camp. We meet a few other people. Stacy Jordan is kind of a standout. I thought I brought it up here, but I didn't. He brought us these cool coasters that had been laser etched with the Moyak logo. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Went and checked in down at the marina. Got our cool new Moyak hats. These went to the first 150 people that joined the club for the year. So that was cool. This has become my go-to hat in just the few days that I've had it. So I did have the best night's sleep that I've ever had in a tent, and it's 100% due to that sleeping pad. That was so comfortable. I would almost sleep on that every night. I just slept really good. Usually when I'm in a tent, I toss and turn. I get about, half hour sleep at a time, and I just struggle with it. So I wake up well rested. Everything's going good. Stoney and I both pack up. We head down to the ramp together, get everything ready. There's a couple other people where we launched. We were at Indian Point Marina. And just to be clear, you have to launch at a public launch facility. So there were some other places that would have been better, like even in that same area, but they were private, so we couldn't use those. 6 o'clock, there's so many alarms on phones. Everybody had put in the times on their phones. So we hear those go off. We all get in, get out on the water. I get settled in. Happy to report that the fish finder all worked. The remount was perfect where it needed to be. Everything was stable, comfortable. It was out of the way. Go around, I graph a few things, find a brush pile, some rocks, stuff like that in the cove we're in. The wind's picking up at this time for sure. And then we just wait, and 6:30 rolls around and everybody makes their first cast. Right away, there were a lot of things of my doing that were messing with me. Table Rock is super clear. The water is very clear. It's considerably deeper than anything I fish in normally. I had paid attention to all the dock talk, right? Like, oh, this is what they're biting on. This is where they'll be. That really set the stage for me to not go with my gut and go with what I know works. Another huge factor was the wind. The wind was so bad. And I mean, I've been out fishing in wind, and I know some people pre-fished the day before, and it was apparently worse than on tournament day. I know that was an issue, but I really struggled, and I could not get out of the cove that we launched in. I mean, just could not do it. I'll show this clip. I'm trying to paddle around this gas dock just to see if I can make it out to maybe hit another cove. I'm paddling slow, but I'm telling you, that was a dig. Like, I'm not a huge, strong, tough guy, but go to the gym, I'm in pretty good shape, and I just couldn't do it. Like, there was no moving. So I was kind of relegated to that area that we launched in. I did load up my kayak and drove to another place. Really wasn't any different. There were some other places I would have tried, but I just didn't have the time. And I didn't have the time the day before, you know, partly by choice, partly by I didn't check the tent before I left. So, you know, not excuses, not blaming my performance on these other things, but they're all factors, right? So I get back from my little road trip and I just put back in. At that point, I simplified everything. I didn't put the crate back in. I didn't bring the extra rods. I just brought my 3 main rods, and I just decided to just kind of go by instinct. I didn't fully commit to that. I know now, like thinking back, clear-headed. And in the moment, I was thinking I was doing right, but clearly I wasn't. I did a few things that, a few risks, like there was a dock and there were fish behind it, like, because you can see in the water's ridiculously clear from what I'm used to. So I pulled the Drew Gregory trick, and I let my seat down and I leaned it all the way back and I slid under the cable to the dock, and I got back there. I just could not get a fish to bite. I mean, I could see him. I could toss a lure right in front of them and they'd take interest. I said I couldn't get them to bite. I got one bite on a jig, but I missed the hook set. He picked it up and dropped it so quick that by the time I reacted, it was off the lure. And this isn't one of those, like, I threw a jig and set the hook because it bumped the ground, because I watched the fish put the jig in its mouth, and as soon as I pulled it, it just pulled right out. So I saw him chase some other things. Chased the Ned rig I was throwing around. I tried swimming it. They didn't like that. Tried a spinner bait. I would watch them follow it all the way to the boat and turn around. You know, I definitely varied things. I changed my retrieve speed. I changed what I was doing. I threw in some erratic jerks and stuff. It just didn't come together for me that day. But I did fish all the way to the end. I mean, it was like lines out was at 2:30, and at 2:29 and 30 seconds, I made a cast. I mean, I had to, right? You're not going to throw away that opportunity to at least do something. In the end, I caught 0 fish. There were 30 other anglers. There were 153 total anglers, but there were 30 others that caught 0 fish. And then I believe when I looked through, there was another 20 or so that only caught 1 fish. So for a lot of us, it was a rough day. The winter had, I believe, 90 inches. There were fish somewhere. People were catching them. I wasn't there, and I wasn't the one catching them. So I've got things to work on. Like, I'm in a slump fishing, period. I've barely fished since it got cold. So that's definitely part of it. I need time on the water. I second guessed myself. Like, I know the things I like to throw. I know the ways I like to throw them, and that those work for me. And I strayed from that quite a bit. I'm just kind of flailing around thinking, oh, if I just make this change, that'll be my results, when I need to change less, right? I know what works for me. I need to fish for my fish, not his fish, if that makes sense. You can put two anglers right next to each other, and they're not going to catch the same fish. Even times that I'm out with other people, we can have the same everything tied on. One will be catching and one won't. Technique, luck, I don't know, but I can't catch your fish. You can't catch my fish. That's kind of the way it feels like it's working. So my last few videos, I was really focused on getting the electronics right. I know they can be an advantage. I'm still learning. The new mount worked perfect. Everything's right in line. The kayak's perfectly balanced. Everything's out of the way. I was surprised. I thought I would struggle a bit with where the screen was, but I didn't. It was fine. The thing I do struggle with is I pay too much attention to the electronics. I'm not using it to add to what I'm doing. I'm changing what I'm doing based on the electronic. Part of that is I'm unfamiliar with it, and I know it can be a powerful tool, and I'm trying to get all of the power out of it that I can. That's hurting me. And I went out fishing in the boat yesterday, and again, I was spending so much time messing with the electronics and graphing and second guessing what I was seeing, and I didn't catch anything yesterday either, just out fishing for fun. I need to either deep dive and get really good at using them, or pull back and just know what I'm going to use it for. I deviated from my confidence baits a lot. I mentioned this earlier, but I need to throw what I know how to throw, what I know works. There were a lot of things I didn't know. Don't know the lake, don't know the area. The water was clearer than anything I've fished on, but I definitely did not make the right calls through there. The good part is it's a season. So I've got at least 4 more that I'm going to do, and I can turn them around. So the next one is at Lake of the Ozarks. That's May 21st. Last year, I caught plenty of fish there. None big enough, but I'll be able to go in. I know the area more, and I'll be able to just feel better going in, and I think that's going to translate into my fishing overall. But I didn't come home totally empty-handed. There were other issues with checking out and everything. I had planned to stay for the awards thing and all that, because I won some of the contest, like raffle type things last year. I didn't stay because my campground was actually check out 3:30 or 3 o'clock that day and not the next day. It was a mess. So anyway, right after I got off the water, I had to go pack up my camp, and then I just went home, which is good for everyone that was down there, because they didn't go get in that big group. Because I get home Sunday, I'd had a little cough all weekend. Sunday, it's feeling worse, and Monday morning, I'm not feeling super great, and my wonderful wife brings me a COVID test, and I take it, and immediately both lines light up pink. So in a weird sort of way, it's kind of good that all weekend I was pretty isolated. I did let the people know that I was close around, but yeah, I mean, I guess in a way it's good that the date got messed up and I headed home. So anyway, this is just the start. Got a whole season ahead of me, and I'll make another tournament update after the Lake of the Ozarks tournament.